come with me on this little adventure as we go through everything you need to pass your NZOIA Abseil Leader Award. We're going to go through on these next few videos, step by step, everything you need to know. This video, number one, we're starting off on the first point, correct care and use of Abseil equipment. So there's lots of things you need to know how to use and how to check. So we're going to go through step by step and check everything that I've got here. First up, a sling. Very common, we use these heaps in abseils anytime you're constructing anchors. So all you're going to do is visually inspect just by running it through your hands, checking both sides. You're looking for any fraying, any wear, any rips, especially on things like sling that is relatively cheap to replace. If there is any damage that you're suspicious of, it's a lot easier to just throw it out, buy a new one, and not risk anyone's life. Another common thing, we use carabiners and other metal bits. A general rule of thumb, they can lose up to 10%, and even on some that are relatively new, you can already see that anodized coating starting to wear through. The main thing you're looking out for is if it is starting to wear out, that it's not creating a sharp edge, something that's going to cut or damage ropes and slings. As you check carabiners, especially anything with moving parts, you want to make sure that all those parts function as they should. If it's an automatically closing like a triple lock, they should fully close every time. If you have ones that are screw gates, non-automatics, make sure that they screw up and down nicely. And another good thing to check on screw gates is if you hold it open and screw them, that screw can't come off the end. Most good brands won't let that happen. The next thing you want to know how to check, harnesses. Either your own or your client's. You're going to start at one end of the fabric. Just like the sling, you're going to travel the whole way down. Make sure to check underneath buckles. Check the fabric everywhere you can. If you've got ones that have movable pads like these, make sure to slide them all the way to one end. Check underneath. Slide them all the way to the other end. Check underneath again so that you can visually inspect the entire strap. Then, really important point to always keep an eye out on, your belay loops or any attachment points. They should be not too much fraying, all nice and clean. Same with leg loops, and definitely check underneath all the buckles, check the metal, the buckles themselves. Everything should be in good order. Another super important thing to check, helmets. We want to protect our noggins and those of the clients. You want to visually inspect, run your hand over it, the outside, hard-shelled ones like this. You shouldn't have any sharp spots, sharp edges, should all be intact, no cracks. You're going to check on the inside, that foam on the inside should be fixed, it shouldn't be rattling around in there, and if you flex the helmet gently, you shouldn't see any cracks, any exposed bits where the foam has broken away. You're also going to check all the fabric straps and of course the plastic buckles. They're not life supporting, but they are stopping the helmet falling off if someone were to invert, so in that case they are life supporting. Last but not least, ropes. Super important when you're checking ropes. You're going to uncoil the entire thing and you're going to go through it inch by inch, millimeter by millimeter, just slowly pulling that rope through your hands. You're squeezing with your other hand, trying to feel for any inconsistencies in the core, so the inside of the rope. You're also visually inspecting the outside of the rope, so the mantle, the sheath, and if you do come across any spots that feel a little bit weird, you can do what's called the pinch test. So you're going to try and pinch the two together, you should see that they never touch. And you can do that over big sections going both ways. It should always have at least a little bit of a gap. And then you can just continue to go through the entire rope. This is a really good shoulder exercise if you're looking for one. If you've got hundreds of meters of rope to do, can't say I'd look forward to doing it, but it is a super important part of your job. Now that we know how to check our gear, it is also super important we know how to wear and fit our gear to our clients. For helmets, they should be firm on your head, but not so tight that it squeezes. And for chin straps, they should be tight enough to where you can still comfortably talk. You're going to be doing a lot of that as an instructor, but not so loose that it can come over the front of your chin. You should be able to give it a really good shake and it not move around. Awesome. Then for the harness, super important, the waist strap should be nice and high above your hip bones, tight, and any long straps should be tucked into the loops on the side of your harnesses. Same for your leg loops, make sure they are nice and tight and the tails are also tucked in. Partly this is to do with if it's hanging loose, it looks messy, and if you look like a mess, very likely the clients are going to feel that. You just look less professional. But also with long dangly tails, that's more likely for your leg loops to loosen off and it to become very uncomfortable very quickly. So make sure they're tight and tucked. If you've got personal anchor chains, anything long on your harness, make sure it is tied up, tidy. Prusiks should be nicely bundled. You don't want long slings hanging off your harnesses. Any personal anchors should be tidy and tucked up. Point 1.5, demonstrate or describe common uses, advantages, limitations, etc., etc. of all gear that you have. This one's super important. Anything that is on your harness or anything that you're using, you should know the advantages of one versus the other. The more basic things, the slightly more complicated things. You need to be able to describe common uses, failure points, all of that. So there's way too many climbing gadgets in the world for me to describe every single one of them. If there's stuff you guys are getting stuck on, feel free to send myself a message, put it in the comments below. There's going to be, hopefully, plenty of people able to help out with this kind of stuff. So for coiling rope, the most common way to keep it tidy, keep it tight, you're going to start off rope nice and tight in one hand, and you're just going to run it over your shoulders to your full wingspan. You're then going to grab tight with your other hand, and your thumb's going to come up and underneath. You can pull that all the way through, again, over your shoulders. And then you're going to switch. Nice and tight on this side, loose on this side. You're going to hook it underneath and all the way. And you're just going to rinse and repeat. Switching every time. Switch until you're left with a nice short tail. You need it long enough to at least be a little bit on the ground. So if you're, like I've done, not quite giving yourself enough, you can go ahead and undo one of your last wraps. You can then take the rope off and you're going to hang it on your arm. I find the easiest way is then find your long tail and you're going to go around the back and hand it to your hand that is holding. And you're just going to start nice and low. Your next wrap, when you go around, super important that you come higher than your last wrap. Pull nice and tight, and you're just going to carry on. Keep doing wraps nice and tight, every time going slow, one wrap higher. Once you get towards the top, you're going to, again, pinch that rope, and you're just going to pull your hand back out. Make sure you don't pull it so tight that you can't get your hand out. You're going to pull that bite partly through, and you're just gonna send that over the top. Pull it all nice and tight, and then hopefully, if you didn't leave a super long tail like I did, you should be left with a really nice coil. All your lengths should be nice and even, and it should stay nice and tight. For an improvised chest harness, you're going to go ahead and take your sling, tie it into a loop using a water knot. And then it's maybe a little bit hard to demonstrate on myself, but you're going to get your client to put one arm through. They're then going to rotate all the way around, and while they rotate, all you're doing is putting a twist. So you're going to create an X. That X is going to sit on their back. So it's going to have a twist, so it should have two loops in the front, a little X at the back. Pass one end through the other, and you're just going to pull down. If your sling is too long, you can go ahead, tie a knot in it, and you're going to clip above the knot, right in there. And then you can go ahead, take your carabiner into the end, and you're going to pull that down and get it nice and tight into their harness. This is maybe a little bit long for me. If you need some more adjustment, rather than passing through, you can go ahead and clip both sides, pulling down. Make sure to screw any gates closed. Get that client to adjust it so that it's sitting nice and comfortable on them. All this harness is doing is helping that their actual harness to stay nice and high, and will help if they were to start to invert. It'll help hold them up, and if they did manage to fully invert, they're going to stay in their harness. They won't have the chance to slip out. The main reason you would want to use a improvised chest harness is on really skinny kids. If they don't have enough hip bone or definition to stop that harness sliding down, so really small kids, really young, or people with big shoulders, big chest, or a big gut. That's just going to help hold that harness up high where it should be. And our final point, 1.8, use of correct clothing. If it was super rainy, super windy, shorts and a t-shirt ain't gonna cut it. Make sure you are prepared. You should be dressed to impress. If it is rainy outside, you want to stay dry. The drier and happier you are, the easier it is to keep your clients, your kids, engaged and into it. If you're miserable, they're going to feel that, and they are also just going to drop in morale and become miserable. And that wraps it up. That covers everything in point 1 for the NZOIA Abseil Leader Award. Stay tuned, more videos to come, and just follow this playlist. See you out there.